Good afternoon, all the students. Uh, Today we are going to unfold the new history of India, a very new chapter, not chapter, a new era. We are going to start the era of the Islam in India, the advent of the Muslims in India. Now we know that after the rise of Muslim Islam in Arab, you have studied well in your class. With the Arabs, advent of the Muslims, Islam in Arab, the Muslim now started or began their push up theories or the invading theory or invading attitude towards the India. Now the Muslims, we know already that the desert Arabs or as well as the hard topography, difficult geography of Central Asia was not favorable or not sufficient and adequate for their upbringings and for their survivals. So these Muslims now, with the enthusiasm or religious, full of the religious zeal, or these Arabs, the tribals, those who have been converted into the Islam, came under the Prophet's banner or began their large scale execution or conversion of the people of the different beliefs. They started and began establishing the Islamic State. And I have mentioned that they now extended their influence and empire and influence up to the France, south of the France, Spain, Germany, and the Eastern Europe, almost the entire part of the Eastern Europe, that is called the Balkan states area, and here the Russia, and down to the Indus and the Egypt, and down to the east, the Indus rivers up to that. So now a greater pressure now India had to face from the Muslims because they were seeking for the new opportunity, the Islamic world, the tough life because of their tough and insufficient resources. These Islamic peoples were now pushing and they were in the wake or in the wait of the entering in India. So this knocking of the door of the Indias began from began from the Muhammad bin Qasim. Before that, I will tell you that I want to say you that before their advent of the India or the after the advent of the India, now they established it right from the Sultanate period. They now ruled for the 400 years, and then after another set of the Muslim attack, that is the Mughals, they set up and ruled for the almost uh, more than the 200 years, and then after the set of the British Empire established in India. So now under this just a this time frame or the period frame, we have to see that the Muslims now established. So now they had not only come and that they established their empire. But the Muslims now came in India, or they set up their empire in India, or then after a process, they set up the their empire in India, or a political structure was completely changed. It was much possible for them. They changed our political structure, Hindu political structure and the systems, by living at the lower strata of the lower structure of our administration. The upper structure was completely changed, and village structure was just left intact. The lower village level structure was left, not they did not touch there, but the upper structure of the administrations was completely changed, and it was completely changed. And one thing is that Muslims had come to India with their own culture, with their own language, Persian language. So the Persian language became their just officious language of the administration. Okay, and they had structurized the administration on the basis of the Taimur's structure, or moreover, the Islamic structure. The Prophet Muhammad had given the very Islamic order and the structure he had set up in the entire Arab Islamic structure, or Central Asia Islamic structure had been the administrative structure. So those structures had been shifted to the India. Understand? And moreover, what about the social structure? The social structure they did not touch, because they were here in a strange land amongst the millions of the Hindus, and amongst the Kafir, and among the Jimmi. They call they are non-religious people, they are non-Islamic people, as a Kafir or as a Jimmi, called the Jimmi. So now they just did not touch in the structure of the social fabrics. It was intact. Our cultural fabrics, our cultural beliefs intact. Although they now demolished a number of temples, and it was meant for what? It was meant for, and it was meant for looting the wealth and the booty, and sacking the temples for the getting the food. That was they targeted. But the Muslims knew well that they could not, at their administrator, their rulers and sultans knew that they could not rule India according to the Islamic injunctions and Quranic injunctions, and according to the Sarah and Sharia. It was not possible. But here is the entire the sultans now. They got into a conflict, their nearest conflicts with the ulema class and the ruling class. The ulema wanted the Sarah and Sharia to be enforced or practiced in the administrative system against the Hindu. But the sultans were well aware of that. The Islamic structure, Islamic injunctions, or the Sarah and Sharia could not be could not be enforced in the Hindu society. So under this a conflict, under the conflict, the two sections were there, but the whatever Sultan, like the Alauddin Khilji, he was very much practical, and he never came into the influence of the ulema class. Never. This priest or ulema class, the religious class, understand, try to influence. He was very much practical. And he said that, I don't know what is the Sara and Sharia. The, what I think is right, I do. That is the right, I do. What I think, I do. I don't know if this is right or the wrong. This is the according as Sara and Sharia or Islamic injunction. I don't know. Whatever I mean and that practice. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was a very scholar. He was very much a scholar man or a scholar person. So he was a scholar and he did not come under the influence of the Shara influence, under the influence of the ulama class. So now we have to see here they came or the sultans now ruled. Or but one thing is the very features of that. Now the complete assimilation of the Hindu and Muslim society were living for the centuries together, but a complete assimilation of the Islamic culture or the Hindu culture never happened. Not complete assimilation happened, and the both now both are just try to keep their identity, try to be isolated and keep their identity and not let their identity to be the mixed with the Hindus and whether the Hindu in Islam or Islam. Never. They now keep their in the isolation. Although, despite say the maintaining the distance in the field of all aspects of the life, cultural life or our social life or in that life, the two sects, the two groups, understand, did not assimilated despite having the thousands of years together. Neither the Hindus let them to be the assimilated with Islam, nor the Islam attempted to be the assimilated with the Hindus. And at the Tarachand, one of the great writer of India, he has now written the influence of Islam on the Indian culture, a book he has compiled. According to him, despite living thousands of years, these two communities together only, and they kept and they covered, they shielded them with the iron curtain and not let the assimilation or any kind of the embrace together. No, they remain and maintain their identity. But even then, if you see at the local level, at the very downtrodden level, if you see that because of the advent of the Bhakti movement or the Sufi movement in India or the Bhakti movement or their beliefs, because of that, the Hindus and the Muslims now a certain extent at a very local level, we find a very nearness between the Hindus and Muslims, and a little bit the influence is seen or little bit assimilation is seen, not wholly and fully, no. Complete assimilation, no. A little bit Hindus and Muslims culture influenced each other, very little bit. So now, despite the living in the thousands of the years, these Islamic people did not live together, and just a Hindu and Muslims did not assimilate together, or the interaction did happen. Even then, we see that the Islam's now ruled for the, but this assimilation was tried or attempted during the Akbar period because the Akbar wanted to make wanted to become a national ruler or wanted to bring the Hindus and Muslims together because Akbar was very much intelligent. He had the very right perception. He knew very well. He without the taking in confidence to the Hindus, he Muslim Islamic states would not run for a longer for a long time. Could not exist for a long time. That's why, and to now maintain the balance of power in the court cliques, many groups were just in the conspiracy or the conflicts in the Akbar court. To say he wanted to make the balance of power in the court and did not let any Islamic group to be the effective and dominant in the court. That's why for that he maintained the Hindu elites, group of Hindu elites and the Hindus army or Hindus commanders in the court. And the Hindu cultures he invited openly in the court. He realized the Hindus community if they are the part of the state and they are there is no difference. They are all to show the national perception he had. That is why he is called the Akbar the Great. We have the three greats in the history of Asoka the Great in ancient time, Akbar the Great in medieval time, or or the Gandhi modern time. Three greats in we have. So the Akbar now made the efforts and assimilation synthesizes the culture. He wanted to synthesize all the cultures and assimilation of all the cultures. So he got a translated translation of the Hindu scriptures, Indian the scriptures and the Islamic scriptures were intertranslated for assimilation on enriching the literary world. And many of the cultures and the traditions from and he let the Hindus freedom free to celebrate or to observe their own beliefs in open even in his court even in his courtyards where he opened and accepted the Hindus cult and the Hindus worship. We can have see. So here, students, we have to be the study, particularly in this book, total entire book. We have to be the study, particularly the religion, literature, literary assimilation, or religion, religious writings, or in the religious writing, what kind of the language was used religious language assimilations or interaction, or a religious views or the religious faiths assimilations, and particularly the Akbar in the Akbar court, how the in the Akbar court paintings and particularly we shall focus on the Aine Akbari and the Akbarnama. These are the two the Abul Fazl's compositions. So how these great and the compositions and the entire history of the Akbar period is completely based on the Aine Akbari or the Akbarnama. They accordingly, and some of the state study about the foreign travelers who now used to come in the court of the Akbars. Not only Akbar, they came and visited India in the court of Jahangir, in the court of Akbar, in the court of Shah Jahan. Understand? They and in the court of Aurangzeb. These foreigners now, or the travelers, European travelers now traveled, and they had given their remark or given their just wrote accounts about the society, about the administration, about the painting, music, all about it. They have written and penned down. And those remarks we have to see. And what the role of the women in the Akbar's court in the Mughals. Mughal women had a very prominent role in the construction of the literature also. Just for example, Gulbudan Begum, she has written the Himaynama. Understand? So now they have, and even in the managing the just familiar feuds. Understand? She managed used to manage and or resolve the feuds arising in the family. So now we shall see that. So, student, before going there, that we shall have a very brief order, a very brief dynastical order. I would like to mention before you. Understand? For this will take the 2 or 3 class hardly. Understand? And this is the necessary that we know the order advent of the Muslim. So now in the first day we see that the last Hindu ruler of India, who was that? The last Hindu ruler of India was the Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan was supposed to be the last Hindu ruler, or after that, and he was the Kannauj, Kannauj capitals was the and very prominent. Understand? Or Bengal and Punjab and here the in the up to the Deccan. Not he completed. Rashtrakutas were dominant in the Deccan area. Understand? But his extension was empire extended up to the Vindhya Vindhya Hill, understand, up to there. In the northern India, he was the last ruler of the northern India, understand. Or then after the decline of the Harshvardhan, understand, after the death of that. So if three powers now got into the a long struggle, the three dynasties, Pal dynasty from Bengal, and since the Harshvardhan was the last ruler and the power center was supposed to be the Kannauj. The if any ruler who would have captured the Kannauj, so that ruler was supposed to be the supposed to be the supposed to be the sovereign of entire Northern India. So the three and the Kannauj, and it was a very center of for the trade and commerce also. So these three dynasties, I am telling you, the Pala dynasty from the Bengal, and the Pratihara from the central India, and Rashtrakuta from the South India, South India and Deccan. Understand? So these three powers and the rulers of three dynasties, they were now making their hard efforts for capturing the Kannauj, because Kannauj had been a center of the power, a political identity of the northern Indian power. Understand? That's why whosoever captured this would be the master of the whole northern India, and supposed to be the master of the entire northern India. So now we see that this is the master of entire northern India. So these three powers, Pala, Pratihara, and the Rashtrakuta, they involved in the 200 years the battle went on. 200 years. Sometimes the Kannauj remained in the capturation of the Rashtrakuta. Some years it remains under the control of the Pala, sometimes he controlled the Pratiharas. But ultimately, the end of the story was that the Pratiharas got the victory and they controlled finally after 200 years. They controlled and taken under the control, taken under the Kannauj their control. Understand? So this is the Hindu states. And after that, what happened? So after that, know the chronology. After that, first here I am telling you, first Maurya dynasty 600 BC before Christ BC Maurya dynasty that ended. Okay, after the and Maurya dynasty, after that Sunga, Pushyamitra Sunga dynasty 100 AD, that start from Christian era AD. The now Kanishka Kushanas ruled, and after that, after the Kushana, then after the Rashtrakutas and Satavahanas were the breaking states, and after that the major states now emerged at the Gupta dynasty. The Gupta ruled, and as the Gupta powers now diminished, so then after the Vardhan dynasty came, Harshvardhan was the prominent ruler of the Vardhan dynasty. Or after the Vardhan dynasty, then the Pala Pratihana Rashtrakuta for the 200 years. Understand? And up to the just invasion of the Muhammad Ghaznavi, these states were at the time of the Muhammad Ghaznavi, these states were scattered, petty states, small states, dotted with the small state. Rajput states were very just all over, and very small states were scattered. No any large or any integrated states was that time. That taking advantage of that one by one, and no states had the capabilities to defend the attacks of the Muhammad Ghaznavi and the Muhammad Gori. But one state that the Prithviraj Chauhan, who was at the Delhi, understand, who was Ajmer and Delhi, who now tried some extent to check the infiltrations of the Islam, influx of the Islam in India, or the Muhammad Gori. But we know he was defeated, and ultimately 1192. So we are now looking that. First, later on in the next class, I shall discuss about that. Okay, thank you very much for today. Next day, we shall study the dynastical order. Okay, so that our chronology of the history will sit in your mind. Okay, so then after this will be no problem. Who was first and who was after whom, it will not create the problem. Okay, thank you very much.